Hello everybody, Jake here and welcome to the hobby. It may come as no surprise to you, but over the past couple of months, we've seen a massive influx of new collectors. And things are really expensive right now. The cheapest booster box on the secondary market is closer to $200 to $300 right now, even for the latest Pokemon card set. Something like Destined Rivals is incredibly expensive, and it can be very challenging to collect if you're on a tight budget. There was a period of time when I used to be a broke college student and I was struggling to pick up a single Pokemon card on my ramen noodle diet. So I'm very well aware of what it's like to collect Pokemon cards when you really don't have the money to collect anything. So in today's video, I've covered 5 different tips that will really help you out if you're a new collector that's just trying to collect on a very short budget. And if you're someone that's really experienced in the hobby, feel free to watch this and drop a comment down below on what you think could really help out some new collectors who are just getting started on their own journey. My first tip if you're a budget collector is to focus on depth rather than breadth. What that typically means is you really have to hone down on what you want to collect because you don't have the extra money to pick up random Pokemon cards on a whim. If you're going to a card show, you need to already keep in mind what are the top 5 cards that you are looking at this card show and what are the cards that you want to actually pick up. You don't really have the extra money to splurge on just random cards. And I think that actually is a really nice feeling because you can go into different shopping places and different marketplace and know exactly what you want to add to your collection. It's a really, really powerful tool. What this typically means is that 20 years ago, if you collected Pokemon cards, your collection looked the same as everyone else. Everyone just had a base set Charizard, a base set Blastoise, and that was pretty much it. But nowadays, collections can be extremely diverse. Whether you're collecting one specific Pokemon, such as if you are a Gengar collector or a Gyarados collector or a Dragonite collector, or maybe you collect 4 trainer cards or Rainbow Rare or Gold cards. There's just a huge variety in the types of cards that you can collect that your collection can be completely unique and distinct to who you are as a person and as a collector. So it really, really gives you a lot of flexibility on what you can do, and it gives you a lot of advantage because no one's going to know your niche and your collection compared to anyone else. So when you spot a good deal on a Gengar card, you're going to know it immediately because you are a Gengar collector. Whether you're collecting vintage Gyarados cards, it doesn't really matter, but as soon as you build up some depth inside of your collection, things become much more flexible for you in terms of the deals that you can make, because as soon as there's a good deal out there, you're going to know it before anyone else does because you've done your research and you've built up that depth in a very specific sphere of the hobby, and that's going to help you out a lot, especially when you're on a tight budget. My very next tip builds off of the last one, which is you should buy singles over packs. Buying packs is a luxury. When I was a poor college student, I would very, very rarely ever rip open booster packs. And I know that's a lot of fun in the hobby, is opening up new packs and just finding cards for yourself. But if you're on a tight budget, you simply do not have the luxury of opening up booster packs. On average, if you open up booster packs, you will lose 50 cents on every single dollar that you put in, which means if you spend $100 opening up packs, you're more likely to end up with $50 in total value in just cards. And the cards that you pull will probably be random cards that may not be meaningful to you. So if you're looking to build depth instead of breadth, you have to really focus on singles rather than packs. And that's going to be kind of hard, especially if you're someone that's really into ripping open packs. I would say if that's you, you can keep opening up packs, but you have to understand that you're doing it for the fun rather than for the value. If you're someone that's on a tight budget, you really have to focus on the singles market. The singles cards are constantly cheaper than picking up the packs themselves and just hunting for the cards. The likelihood of you opening up a Paldea Evolved booster box and pulling yourself a Magikarp, incredibly rare. But if you would like to pick up that Magikarp, you can easily pick it up on the secondary market for a fraction of the price of a whole entire booster box. So keep that in mind. If there are cool cards that you want inside of your collection, if you are on a budget, you really have to focus on singles rather than ripping open booster packs. My very next tip, which bounces off the last 2, is you have to purchase raw cards over graded cards. I know a lot of people out there are talking about graded cards. There's so much value in graded cards, but a lot of times the cards that are graded, there is a huge markup on graded cards, and the people that are picking up graded cards just don't want the hassle of picking up raw cards and sending them in to get graded yourself. You, as someone who's on a budget, do not have that luxury. For the longest time, when I was a poor college student, I did not pick up a single graded Pokemon card. If I did, I really had to think about it. Was this worth the amount of money that I was putting into it, and could I not just grade it myself? If you're someone out there and you're on a tight budget, just purchase raw cards. A lot of the times, if you pick up raw cards, there's a good chance that some of your raw cards are just PSA 10s or Gem Mint cards that just haven't been graded yet, and you're just saving yourself a ton of money down the line. A lot of the cards that I have inside of my collection, my Mario Pikachu, my Tag Team GX Latias and Latios, I purchased them raw for $10, $20 here and there. And now, yes, they are worth a lot of money, but I graded them myself, saving me a ton of value from having to purchase them on the secondary market already graded. If you're on a budget, you don't have the luxury to buying graded cards. You just should focus on the raw cards instead. I know some of these tips might sound a little bit draconian and they make it feel really tight, but if you're on a tight budget, that's a part of it, is you have to play it smart. And my next tip is to ignore hype sets. And what that pretty much means is sets that are currently really popular and in demand and everyone's talking about. Things like Prismatic Evolution, things like Destined Rivals. Cards inside of these sets are constantly dropping in value every single day, and they're going to get cheaper and cheaper. And if you're someone that's on a tight budget, simply being patient and waiting till the market cools down will save you so much money. Some of the biggest net loss in value is actually people picking up cards as soon as a set release, because most of the time, as soon as a set release, those cards are at their all-time most expensive. And over the next couple of months, as more and more people rip open booster packs and selling off their cards, the prices on singles of new sets actually drops by quite a bit. Prices can drop significantly. You can get cards 50, 60, 70% off their all-time high by just simply being patient. What that usually means is there's a ton of really cool sets out there that have fully cooled off. Things like Scarlet and Violet base, things like Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, older eras have pretty much cooled off, and you can pick up all of those cool cards and just know that their prices are fairly stable and they're not gonna randomly tank tomorrow. And that's what's gonna happen with most modern hype sets, is I am usually very patient. I don't have a lot of cards from Destined Rivals or Prismatic Evolutions. If there is a card that I want inside of these sets, even today, I'm still gonna wait a year or two until the market fully cools off for me to pick them up on the secondary market. And I'll tell you right now, if I want to pick up all the cards from Prismatic Evolution, if I bought it on release or I bought it now, the cost of the complete Evolution set is completely different. It would have been $5,000 3 or 4 months ago, and it would have been $2,500 today. I would have saved myself $2,500 for simply purchasing the exact same set a couple months later. And I know it hasn't fully dropped yet. I know Prismatic Evolution hasn't cooled down completely yet. Those singles are still going to be much cheaper down the line. And so I'm simply being patient until I recognize that some of the prices on these hype sets has fully cooled down. My final tip, if you're a budget collector, and this is the culmination of all of these other tips, is you have to let your collection breathe. And this one is actually a really challenging one, which is why I put it as the last tip. Letting your collection breathe means recognizing that your cards can come and go. Cards are like a resource for you. Your collection should feel like something that you can trade hands with. And that's a big part of the hobby, is the ability to trade Pokemon cards. What that simply means is if you have cards inside of your collection, you can see it as a resource to build up other cards inside of your collection. Treating your collection as if it was your budget or your money can go a long way. Most rich collectors don't do that because they don't need to do that. Their collection can pretty much sit around and that's completely fine. But if you're a budget collector and you don't have a lot of money, using your collection as an additional money or value source can really help you out. What that means is you might have a really cool $100 card and someone out there might have a really, really cool $120 card. There may be an opportunity right there where you can trade those two cards and accumulate additional value for your collection. If you're on a budget, sometimes it's just important to be savvy and understand that your collection can be resources that can be exchanged between other collectors and to build up that value, build up that resource pool, build up that point. It's almost like a game where you can easily trade cards between other collectors and accumulate additional points. This is something that I see a lot of budget collectors do, is that, hey, I might not be rich in terms of the amount of money I have inside of my bank account, but I have a lot of cards. And the cards have value to them, and I know if I were to exchange some of these cards It's just another way of accumulating a stronger collection. So keep that in mind out there. Don't feel like every single card you have needs to be inside of your collection forever. There are cards that I have inside of my collection for 1 month, and there are cards that I have had inside of my collection for 10 years. And there's no difference between them. Some cards I'm willing to exchange at any given time. Some cards I'm more willing to easily let go of. And there are cards inside of my collection that I don't really even like that much, but I know someone out there really cares about some of these cards. And I'm just waiting for the right collector to come along who will appreciate these cards a lot more than me. These cards exist, and I'm simply just waiting on the right collector. So I let my collection breathe, which means cards can come and go inside of my collection quite often. My forever collection, cards that are never going to be let go of inside of my collection, it's actually a very tight and narrow list. The vast majority of collection, yes, I'm okay trading it off if it makes meaningful sense. So let your collection breathe. Let me know what your thoughts are on these tips. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.